Let me ask you a question, Cuffy. At any time during the initial stages of your indictment involving this whole Tammy Cowins thing, did you talk to Big Meech or did you send a message to Big Meech in any way to tell him or to alert him of what was going on?
We sent Big Meech certified mail. Big Meech set me up, and Tammy set me up with this thing in 2013.
Big Meech just got put on blast, and the receipts are crazy. After 50 Cent dropped some paperwork hinting that Meech might have been out here snitching, the internet lost it. But where did all this come from? Well, 50 got ex-BMF insiders in his corner, spilling all the behind-the-scenes tea.
I just gotta wait to holler at Tammy before, you know what I'm saying, I know where we at with that. And Tammy is a government informant. So when he said that, I was like, Tammy, what you mean, Tammy? Like, nigga, you ain't heard what's going on with her?
The only issue is, Big Meech ain't having none of it. And word in the streets is, he is about to remind 50 exactly why he's a kingpin. This whole thing is messy, so let's get into it. One thing about 50, he got no problem spending big just to expose folks. But he might want to ease up when it comes to Meech, cause this ain't no regular beef. For those who don't know, Demetrius Big Meech Flannery is the national head of the Black Mafia family. Back in the 80s, he and his younger brother, Terry Southwest T. Flannery, started hustling, flipping $50 bags of pain. By the early 2000s, they had their hands in multiple states, including Michigan, Georgia, Florida, California, Louisiana, and a few more. Of course, that kind of money brings heat from the feds, so the brothers thought they were slick by starting BMF Entertainment as a promo agency. It was mainly a cover to clean the money, but they did sign one artist, Blue Da Vinci, who dropped an album in 2005 called The World Is BMF's. But things fell apart when Meech got scooped up by the feds in October 2003, forcing him to swap designer suits for a prison jumpsuit. At first, folks assumed Blue was the one who snitched since he looked like the weak link. Plus, he wasn't locked up with the rest of BMF when Meech got taken down in 2003. They cuffed him a year later. To make things worse, BMF's logistics boss, Dexter Sosa Hussey, wasn't helping the situation. He straight up pointed fingers at Blue.
Well, did Blue Da Vinci cooperate or no?
Yeah, he cooperated. I mean, I didn't see it. It was in Miss Mara Shalhoub's book, where his own lawyer said, yeah, there was anything else that we could do, Your Honor, to help you along with this case. My client would be more than willing to cooperate with you all to help you in this investigation. But now the thing of it is by you admitting what was done, you know what I'm saying, what you done or whatever, but bottom line is, you know, you didn't take the single plea. You went in and was giving them information on that they already had and thought it was cool, but you still, you know, that was part of that. You just confirmed other shit that the other CIs just done told.
FYI, Sosa was talking about when Blue stepped in that courtroom, and his lawyer straight up said this: as he's approaching, Your Honor, I did forget to mention one thing. You asked some of the other defendants whether they had cooperated. Mr. McKnight was one of the individuals who did attempt to cooperate. He was debriefed by the government, but basically he ain't have anything useful to snitch on the other defendants. So that actually happened months ago, way before last week. That debriefing took place a while back, and then we went through with the safety valve one earlier this week. He wanted to cooperate if he had something solid, but turns out he didn't really know anything worthwhile. So yeah, Blue definitely tried to snitch, but the authorities ain't see no real value in what he was saying. Now the real question is, where did the feds get the dirt from? Well, after his name got dragged all through the mud, Blue took it upon himself to expose the real rat. During an interview with Cap Capone News in 2023, he leaked the paperwork that put Big Meech on blast.
One night, and then my homeboy that was with me, he was like, Tone Bird, he from BMF too. Tone was like, ask Big Homie what's up with the movie with 50, like what's going on with him from New York. I had to use my New York accent. Yo, what's going on with the 50 Cent movie? So I'm like, oh yo, Meech, what's up with the movie, with the TV show? Like, where y'all at with that? He like, oh man, it's almost done, the contract almost done, it's almost done, we're gonna be starting, they're gonna be, you know, starting to cast it or whatever, right? He's like, I just gotta wait to holler at Tammy before, you know what I'm saying, I know where we at with that, and Tammy is a government informant. So when he said that, I was like, Tammy, what you mean Tammy? Like, nigga, you ain't heard what's going on with her? And they were like, shit, nigga, I heard shit, but whatever it is, that shit ain't got shit to do with me. And he was like, man, I'm gonna hit you back. I'm like, all right, that's the last time I ever talked to him.
And just like that, fans got put on to Tammy Cowins. She has been Meech's business partner since 2008. Matter of fact, when Meech got locked up, she was still holding it down, running errands for him from the outside. And for whatever reason, Meech decided to show love back by signing over his life rights to her. That basically meant Tammy could flip Meech's life story for a bag and cash out. And that's exactly what she did, linking up with 50 Cent and becoming co-producer on his 2021 BMF series. But according to the paperwork Blue leaked, Tammy wasn't just pushing Meech's name out there, she was working with the feds behind the scenes. In those court docs, she's labeled as CS1, the confidential informant for DEA Atlanta who started snitching in 2009. She gave up key info in a money laundering case that led to the conviction of a dude named Terry White. Now, at that time, Tammy wasn't even getting paid for dropping dimes. But since she played a major role in taking Terry White down, the DEA saw potential in her. So her handling agent, Agent Harsey, put in paperwork to get her a reward, a cut of the assets that got seized from White. And yeah, Terry White was no small player. He was one of Atlanta's biggest kingpins, and when law enforcement got him thanks to Tammy's help, they also got the keys to all his riches. And best believe, Tammy made sure she got her piece of the pie too.
It's believed that Terry White grew up in an Atlanta housing project. But when FBI and GBI agents arrested him last night, he was living here, a sprawling $200,000 mansion in Jonesboro. The 27-year-old was in the process of renovating his home, which features an outdoor swimming pool, a full-length basketball court, and more.
Had a media room where there were 24 TV sets on one wall hooked to a satellite dish, and you could hit a button and all 24 TVs would come on.
Agents seized the home and 3 cars which belonged to White, including this $110,000 Rolls Royce, which was paid for in cash. But there was more to be found inside. $47,000 cash and a machine to count the money, thousands in gold jewelry and mink coats, a small catch of ammunition and weapons, including a loaded Uzi semi-automatic pistol.
But here's the wild part. Tammy ain't even turned informant because she needed the money. That's exactly why even the feds thought she was a bit of an anomaly. Unusual informant in that she had no criminal record, was not a known substance user, did not appear to be motivated by money, and was not looking to get a reduced prison sentence or dismissal of criminal charges. She did it for one reason: payback. See, White had been using her to clean his dirty money without her even knowing, and Tammy wasn't about to let him play her like that. But here's the real question: why did she keep snitching even after the feds locked White up? Oh, that's about to make a whole lot of sense. Meanwhile, Meech was busy plotting behind bars. That's where he crossed paths with a cartel member named Fidel Suarez, who just so happened to be in the same facility. Suarez ran a trucking company out in Cali and had already been investigated a couple times in 2005 and 2009 for moving weight, though he never got convicted. Meech saw an opportunity and decided to use Suarez's connections to keep his money flowing from the inside. Only problem? He was locked down with no way to move the product himself. That's where Tammy came in. According to legal docs, back in September 2011, Flannery requested CS1's help coordinating delivery of a load of C to be controlled by Suarez, who at that point was already in contact with C1. CS1 Credible testified that she first met Suarez by telephone when Suarez contacted CS1 to ask how Flannery was doing. So with Tammy now in the mix, Meech got her to link Suarez up with his day one, Dion Cuffy Gatling, another heavyweight in the game. According to court documents, he was the leader and organizer of the Gatling trafficking organization that brought all kinds of illegal substances to the St. Louis area for distribution from 2009 to 2014. Together, Meech, Suarez, and Gatling had big plans, but what they didn't know was that there was a rat in the operation. Tammy was reporting every single move back to the feds, and guess what? The intel she provided led straight to Cuffy's arrest on March 13, 2014. He later got hit with a 27-year sentence on trafficking charges, plus additional time for a case where someone lost their life. But here's the twist. Meech, he walked away untouched, and that's got folks asking the real question: how come Meech didn't get hit with any charges for trying to set up that deal? The feds clearly knew what was going down. Well, that's because Tammy straight up denied his involvement. In court, she was questioned about it, and when they pointed. So specifically in paragraph 8, it refers to a statement under section A that says CS1 told investigators that Demetrius Flannery coordinated substance distribution arrangements between the two, referencing Suarez and Gatling. And is that statement true? And well, she straight up said no same answer when asked about whether Meech arranged for Suarez to deliver multiple kilogram quantities of cocaine to Gatling in St. Louis through CS1. She might have protected Meech, but in the feds' eyes, she wasn't reliable anymore. And to make matters worse, she had been messing around with one of the DEA agents on the case, which threw the whole investigation into chaos.
Now, during the course of this informant relationship, she becomes involved romantically with the supervisory special agent over the task force.
That's Keith Croman.
So in and of itself, that's going to jeopardize everything that they got going on with respect to the investigation. So she ends up receiving like $200,000 as an informant, where he's the one who signed it off. So now he's maintaining an improper financial relationship with an informant, whom he's also maintaining an improper relationship.
It's safe to say Tammy was playing a real dangerous game, and eventually, it all came back to bite her. In March 2015, she got her hands on Gatling's suppression motion and realized it could blow her cover. That sent her into full panic mode, and for good reason. Gatling wasn't somebody you wanted on your bad side. Dude was already convicted of taking out 2 people. Gatling organized the 2010 passing of Theodis Howard, all because he made the big mistake of providing information to law enforcement regarding Gatling's brother's trafficking activities. He also had someone take out a man named Terrence Morgan in 2013 in order to prevent Morgan from cooperating with federal law enforcement officers investigating Gatling's trafficking organization. And to make it even worse, in 2024, Blue did another interview with Cap Capone, and this time he had Cuffy call in from prison. And man, Cuffy let it all out. He made it real clear that the only reason Meech dodged a sentence was because he threw somebody else under the bus to save himself.
You know, a lot of people, man, is thinking that this thing is made up, or this thing is fake, or that I have an axe to grind. You feel me?
Right.
But I'm in here with a 27-year sentence based on Demetrius Flannery, as you all know as Big Meech, and Tammy Cowins, known in the paperwork as CS1.
Right.
Confidential source 1. So what Big Meech did was called a third-party cooperation. So Tammy Cowins signed up to be a DEA informant to give Demetrius Flannery a time cut, plain and simple.
Right. So
okay, so can you break down the story? Like, how do you know this, and you know, how'd you come upon this information?
How do you know? How do you came upon this information, though?
We were rewarded what's called a Franks hearing. It's based on a case called U.S. versus Frank. So I would implore your listeners to look the case up. And what a Franks hearing entails is that you're able to cross-examine your accusers, meaning government agents, meaning informants, and so on and so forth, just like a regular trial. So this was testified in court.
Period. Point blank.
This was testified in court, that I became a government informant to give Demetrius Flannery a time cut.
That's what was said on the stand, bro. The lady became a government informant to give Demetrius Flannery a time cut.
Matter of fact, Cuffy's own daughter backed up the claims too.
Is it true Big Meech did a third-party cooperation deal to receive a reduced sentence in his case by setting up a known kingpin from St. Louis named Cuffy? Well, that's the word on the street, so let's get into that. First off, for all y'all who don't know who Cuffy is, he is a known kingpin from St. Louis who did business with Big Meech for over 20 years since 1990. And according to him, he is the first person to ever put $1 million in cash in Big Meech's pockets. And as of today, he claims he was set up by Big Meech, which eventually led to him receiving a 27-year prison sentence. And he claims it all started when Big Meech was in Detroit's county jail when he got indicted in 2005. And while Big Meech was in Detroit's county jail fighting his case, he met a Spanish connect named Fidel Suarez, who had major connections to Mexican cartels out of Los Angeles, California. And Cuffy also claims Fidel was the first target who Big Meech was trying to line up so he can receive a reduced sentence. And Cuffy also claims that the person who Big Meech was using to line up Fidel.
I'm Tamara Gatling. I'm making this recording in regards to my dad. He's Dion Gatling. Most people know him as Cuffy. But I wanted to make this recording so I can shed light on some facts My dad was set up by one of his best friends, which is Demetrius Flannery, also known as Big Meech. My dad and Meech have been friends for 30 years plus. I've known Meech my whole life. I look at him like an uncle. Like, this situation has been completely devastating on so many different levels, and there's still so many questions that aren't answered. At this point, I can only shed light on what I know for sure to be facts.
Ain't looking like nobody was capping, cause the paperwork lays it all out, clear as day. Back in 2011, Tammy was supposed to set up some Hispanics in the game. In return, she wouldn't have to testify since the DEA planned to just deport them. But Tammy, she was more worried about her paycheck. That's when the DEA agent told her, "You gon' get a lot of money." But Tammy didn't hear that. She cut him off and asked, "Can I get Demetrius Flannery's time cut?" And the DEA agent responded, "We can work that." With all this coming to light, folks ain't buying the idea that Tammy was moving like this all on her own, especially when Meech willingly signed over his life rights to her. And listen, I always say, if you stay close to a known snitch, that makes you one by association. But hey, that's just me. Now, if you're wondering why this case is just now getting all this attention, well, you can thank 50 for that. When 50 speaks, people listen. And let's be real, he ain't helping Meech's case at all by threatening to drop a whole tell-all scandal exposing him as a rat. It's looking real bad for Meech right now. But we want to hear from y'all. How you think all this is going to play out for him in the long run? And does this mean him and Tammy ain't rocking with each other no more? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to check out this next video.